I'd just like to welcome everybody to the, I guess, what is this, our 13th Cancer Awareness Day. The Sass Foundation, as you may know, was founded in 1986 by Dr. Frank Arena, myself, and my wife, Barbara Sass. Our mission has always been There's now 10.5 million cancer survivors in the United States, and we want to keep that number growing. Thank you all for coming. The next award winner is the Alvina Tadeo Humanitarian Award. Alvina was an incredible lady. She is an inspiration for this award because she was someone who went the other step, one step above. An amazing person who gave of herself, who made certain that her family was always kept in her mind, in her priorities. She was kind. She was an amazing person who, when she would get chemotherapy, you would think that she would be worried about what she would be feeling, but she was trying to make others who were getting that same type of therapy feel just a little bit better. She had an amazing knack of putting a smile on someone's face. Ladies and gentlemen, that might be exactly the definition of our 2007 award winner. Because here we have an incredible person who, in the midst of her own tragedy, was able to go the extra distance, whose beauty was never in question, but whose relentlessness of letting others know that there was something that they could do for themselves and that they could help themselves and have hope in the future was her motivation. It comes to you on Channel 7, Eyewitness News, to give you the news about different issues, but also to highlight throughout the year about breast cancer and the strides that could be made. It is with great honor that I introduce to you the 2007 Alvina Tadeo Award winner, Sager.
Dr. Arena. I'm honored to be here. I just want you all to know. And I had the benefit of sitting in on one of the sessions, and it's just a wonderful event that you have here. Just last week, can you hear me? I'll move forward. Hello? I'll move forward. Just last week, I attended a beautiful memorial service for a colleague at WABC. Most of you have probably heard of him, Joel Siegel. He was an amazing writer and entertainment reporter and movie reviewer for decades. Joel died recently after a very, very long struggle with colon cancer. He was an inspiration to so many people, not just as one of the best writers in our business, but first and foremost, Joel was an inspiring human being. On the cancer front, Joel helped to found Gilda's Club. And at this memorial service we all went to, we watched clips of Joel in various witty and heartwarming situations. And one that stood out the most to me was when Joel was making a statement to politicians about why we need more resources to fight cancer. And he said, you know, people always say, how do you stay so brave and courageous? And Joel's answer was, I'm definitely not too brave and courageous. Cancer can be terrifying, and right now I'm holding on for dear life. Well, that's pretty much how I felt when I was diagnosed nearly 10 years ago. It was actually around the same time that Joel Siegel was diagnosed. I curled up in a ball, probably like many of you, and wondered why me. Only 30 years old, single, at the start of my career in television here in New York. I had no mother to turn to because she had died from breast cancer 11 years earlier. The bright side, there's always a bright side. I did not have my mother's cancer. She had invasive breast cancer, and I had non-invasive ductal carcinoma. Chemotherapy. I chose to have a bilateral mastectomy with reconstruction. They're excellent, by the way. And the only reason my cancer was even detected in the first place was because I got a mammogram when I turned 30 years old, because of my family history, not just my mother, but my grandmother. Me back in her day, and she lived to be 96. And so I moved forward. I did a story on my personal story on Channel 7, and I had no idea how many people would care to respond or just tell me, gee, you know, I was going through the same exact thing. Very reassuring. Things like that. I did the story so that women, especially women at high risk, would go and get their mammograms. My mammogram definitely saved my life. The doctor saw what looked like the white fuzz on my mammogram. This was microcalcifications, and later, after a biopsy, I would find out I had about 8 millimeters worth of centimeter. I never felt a lump. My mother, on the other hand, did. She felt her lump herself when she was only 39, and she went for the mammogram afterwards. And doctors found the tumor that was 1.5 centimeters and invasive, as I said. My story versus my mother's. The importance of awareness and early detection, and the example of how it really lives. Of course, we should never downplay the importance of medical research. What we now know about genetic breast cancer, we did not know back in the 1980s when my mother was so ill. The ways that we now treat invasive breast cancer in young women are so much different than the way my mother was treated even back then. And the way women are coping is far better now, I would say, than it was. But still, there is progress to be made. In our circles, women are talking about all of this and getting screened, perhaps. But across the tri-state area, especially in the poor areas, I see places where, early screening is just not happening. We're lucky if women are getting mammograms at all. And while our perception of breast cancer has changed drastically over the years, it has to change around the globe. I was reading a fascinating article in Time magazine only yesterday about how in Nigeria, women who have survived breast cancer are fearful of discussing it. You know why? They're afraid that no one will want to marry their daughters. In Kenya, if they don't leave their country for treatment, they say they're sitting quietly and waiting to die. We all know that more and more of us are surviving this terrible disease. More and more of us are willing to talk about it. But we have to keep talking and contributing. We have to keep learning and advocating. Because what happened to me and my mother is proof that we can do better and better over time. Joel Siegel is proof that people can make such a difference despite the adversity of cancer. And yes, I believe he was brave. Thank you so much for this award. When women struggling with breast cancer call me, as they often do, I will be sure to keep it in mind to continue trying to reach my personal goal of making a difference to them, reassuring them and urging them to take charge of their health so they have the best possible chance of fighting breast cancer in the future.